Okay. There we go. So, good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to the first episode of All These Offers. I have Queen Makeda here with me. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes, you did.
Okay, most definitely, most definitely. Before we started recording, we were just having a small conversation because she asked me, or she was intrigued by the idea that, one of my taglines to get people on the show is I want to be the antithesis to Kevin Samuels. And she was, curious about the type of questions that I was going to be asking. I'm like, it's less about question and answer, but it's more so along the lines of exploring different things in a more nuanced way so that we come to a more regulated understanding of what is actually going on in the Black community. So, Ms. Makita, if you would introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself. We're going to go from there.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Makita. I'm a mother of one. I'm also a musician. I've been playing the flute since I was 9 years old. I'm currently 24. I've studied at the Harlem School of the Arts. I've studied at Juilliard in high school, been in many different ensembles. So how I'm coming from a musician standpoint, like an artist.
You cracked. You said Juilliard.
Yeah, I did the MAP program when I was in high school for about 3 years. So yeah.
That's cracking. That's cracking.
Yeah, man.
Okay. So the reason why I was intrigued when you said Juilliard is because 9 times out of 10, so this is going to be a channel of diversification, right? So, for example, within myself, I went to a high school where I was classically trained in opera for 4 years. I went to an opera camp. I was offered an opera scholarship, all of that good stuff. But the reason why I didn't do it is because it wasn't my passion. You feel what I'm saying? But I know some amazing vocalists. I know some amazing instrumentalists. I know a lot of people in the Black community who do things that people would consider white people shit.
Right. Yeah.
So when we really start talking about that concept of what white people shit is, it becomes really far-reaching, and it becomes really, sometimes it can be quite damaging because it's like, yo, like, bro, it's not as if though white people are the only people who do this, and it's not as if though Black people cannot participate in these activities in such a way.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying? We vibing, you feel me? So as it relates to like white people shit and Black people, I think that's really where the crux of the conversation begins, because a lot of our experiences are either mediated or influenced by whiteness. You feel what I'm saying? So when we start talking about Black people, we really have to look at it from a space of outside of the context of white supremacy. You feel what I'm saying? Outside of the context of whiteness, because a lot of us, we tend to utilize white contextualizations of white concepts in order to define Black things. And me as an individual, me as not only just a therapist or African-centered therapist and African-centered mental health coach, but somebody who has done African-centered research, when we begin measuring ourselves by a barometer that was not created for us to measure ourselves by, we will always fall up short. You feel what I'm saying? So, or I'm sorry, always come up short. You dig? And a lot of times, I think in Black relationship dynamics, that's what we're tending to do. We're tending to look at ourselves in the context of, whiteness or these purity concepts or these respectability politics. You dig what I'm saying? Because in the whole, so here's the thing. I was having a conversation with somebody and I used the term high value woman, right? The reason why I utilize the terminology was because it's the popular, terminology that's going on right now. You dig what I'm saying? But at the same time, what do you think defines a high value woman or high value man or high value period? What is the concept of high value? What does that mean?
Okay, I haven't thought too much about this, but I have seen this, I guess, term or concept, on TikTok, etc. Me personally, what I consider high value has nothing to do with the person's like outward appearance or how much the person has in their bank account. What I consider high value is really like someone who, if we're arguing, right, like somebody who can like resolve conflict in a like that is major for me. Like a lot of the lessons that I've had in the realm of love has really showed me that I need to put more emphasis on conflict resolution. Like we can have the love for each other, we can have the feelings, the sex could be bomb, but if we get into it, which we will, that's a lot. People think that healthy people don't get into it. That's a false. Like we will get into it. Now it's like, okay, what we do when we're heightened emotionally, and it's like, where do we go from there? So I think conflict resolution, that's important. Another one I would say is, you know, it sounds like, I guess, elementary, but kindness. Kindness, you know what I mean? Like, that's so important to me. Like, and I guess my last one would probably be someone who's honest.
Okay.
Honesty is like high value to me.
Okay. I think you're moving on top of something with your microphone.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me better?
I can hear you better, but it was just a little bit of interference. That's all good. You feel me? We rocking out with the natural John. You feel me? Because me as an individual, like just a quick blurb. I was supposed to start this channel like a couple weeks ago. You feel what I'm saying? And it's like there's a lot of things to learn as it relates to like lighting clearly and like editing and things of that nature. And I was just like,
got you,
bro, I'm not gonna say that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. And I have to divvy up that work in order to learn those things more efficiently. So right now, I felt like the best way to format the show was just talk show John. You feel me? Because then we don't got to do all of the editing, and we don't got to just add the bump at the end. You feel me? And add something at the end. Also, I had the bump at the beginning, add something at the end. But I'm being tangential. So, relative to what it is that you were saying, you said that 3 things that you perceive to be valuable are conflict resolution, kindness, and can you repeat the last one, please?
It was honesty.
Honesty, right? So conflict resolution, kindness, and honesty.
Yeah.
You said in the middle of your spiel, you said that I know that it sounds elementary. I think that a lot of us get caught up in the complexities of things because we believe that simply because it's more complex, it's more impactful, which once again, that's the Eurocentricity sneaking up on you. You feel what I'm saying? Everything does not have to be complex or elaborate in order to be beautiful, right? It does not have to be complex.
I just felt that. Oh my God.
You feel me? Because it's like, you know, there's simplicity in kindness. You dig what I'm saying? And it doesn't take much for you to be kind. But a number of people believe that in relationships, kindness have to be these large, ornate gestures, and they really don't have to be, right? And once those large, ornate gestures are challenged for what it is that they really mean, a lot of people become defensive. They're like, "Oh, I did this for you. I did that for you." Da 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 da. Woo woo woo. And it's like, nah, partner, you did that because you wanted to show other people how flowery and ornate you are. It has absolutely nothing to do with the foundation of the relationship that we're building. It has more to do with you proving to other people that you are in a good relationship. You understand what I'm saying? You're doing shit for brand, you're doing shit for social media instead of really focusing on the foundation of your relationship. So I understand why that is valuable to you. That conflict resolution, John. What, boy? You listen. I'm gonna keep it a $1.50 with you. Listen, I'm 28 years old. You feel what I'm saying? So I'm still relatively young, even though some of the youngest out here call me old head. I think it's hilarious. I'm 28 years old, right?
Okay.
As a man, and I've had to have this conversation with a multitude of people. As a man, my primary need in relationships now that I've gotten older is emotional security. That is my primary need. Pussy is a penny a pound. That's just the reality of the situation. You dig what I'm saying? And not saying that in an objectifying way, but saying it in the way of there are more women than men.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? So the idea that men only need sex, food, and sometimes a little bit of push on the back to be okay, that's archaic and it's outdated. And I feel like a lot of women operate on that premise, right? Me as a man, I become insulted if a woman feels like she can apologize to me with sex. That's insulting because it's like, yo, you're attempting to minimize or avoid what it is that was occurring so that you do not have to process this conflict all the way through. I don't appreciate that. I don't appreciate that because altogether, you're not doing the footwork that's necessary in order to strengthen the foundation. You just think you're gonna fuck me out of a feeling. No, absolutely not. That's wildly insulting, right? So I've run into a myriad of women who I've challenged them in ways emotionally that they are not used to being challenged. And in turn, at times, you know what I'm saying, I come out with battle scars from that. You feel what I'm saying? So the whole idea of conflict resolution, in my mind, I agree with you 100%. It is definitely a high value trait. The reason being is because a lot of people don't know how to resolve conflict. They know how to deflect from it. They know how to avoid it. They don't know how to resolve it. And the reason why they don't know how to resolve it is because they're not in tune with their emotions. They're not used to engaging with the emotions that they feel when they're in a conflict, right? Because for a lot of us, when we become conflicted or when we are in a conflict, it causes anxiety, and anxiety is an extension of the flight or fight response, right? So a lot of us will either deflect, which is a mental way of flying, or will become defensive, mental way of fighting. You dig what I'm saying?
Mental way of flying.
A mental way of flying or a mental way of fighting, right? So you're not actually, well, some people actually get to engaging in physical altercations, but fight or flight, right? Human beings have the capacity to think, to process, and to plan. That is literally what separates us from a lot of other animals in the animal kingdom. But a lot of people, because those emotions are overwhelming, they don't engage that way, right? They don't want to identify the particular pieces that are relative to what it is that they are attempting to run from, because it's scary, right? A lot of people don't know how to resolve conflict within themselves, let alone with other people.
Yeah. Oof. This is something I feel, me personally, I'm still working on. You know what I mean? It's not something that you could just read like an article on a psychology website or whatever, and you just get in a day. Now you're about to go practice with your friend, your partner, your mother, your sister, your dog. Nah, like this is something that I feel like, one, for everything that you do externally, you got to tackle that internal first. Like, so what you just said, I agree with you like 100%. Like, it's something that you, like, if you don't know how to resolve your inner world, like this outer world is going to kick your ass, or it's going to absolutely, it's just going to kick your ass, like, period.
Absolutely. Right.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just stretching.
I was going to say, I feel like that's when the projections start coming. People just start projecting OD because they're in the world. They're so lost. It's like they're blind. They don't know what to do. Like, externally, these projections just come. You get these people who are miserable. These, you see it on TikTok, Instagram. You could say something that, you're not like hurting anybody's feelings, or you're not like being like problematic, and you just see a couple comments just attack you for no reason. And it's like, I be wondering, I be like, yeah, we call them trolls, but like, what be going on internally for them to?
Is it really for no reason?
What, the trolls attacking?
Is it really for no reason?
I feel like maybe they be wanting attention.
Whatever you hitting on the bottom of your phone, it's still hitting it.
So sorry.
Your phone on top. It's okay. It's okay. Right? So you said you think it's for attention, right? I want you to follow that thought. Continue.
Okay. Where was I?
You said it was about attention, trolls, TikTok. You saying something
right?
Really hurt your
like I said, bringing that back to the inner world and your inner state. Like, I feel as though if that's not right, if you're not right with yourself, you're not going to be right with your neighbor. You know what I mean? Everything that you do is a reflection of how you treat yourself. I had to learn that personally. I grew up, I would say, I'm motherless and fatherless. So I have a daughter now. So mentally, I had to become the mother to myself. You know what I mean? I had to become father to myself in my mind. And that's how I'm able to, in my opinion, mother decently. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? I'm just going to, So when I see the trolls, I instantly know, like, even though I do have a question, like, all right, what's going on with you? Like, this is something that I'm able to grasp. This person is able to grasp, but you're not grasping it. I'm just like, all right, something has to be off here. Something has to be off. And maybe the attacking is maybe like a cry for help, or a cry for attention that they're not giving themselves, or that they wasn't given, or something along those lines. That's where I was kind of going with it.
All right. So keep going. I'm not disagreeing with what it is that you're saying. I believe that that's a part of it, right? So outside, because there was literally this entire, because there was a scandal that just popped off. So apparently there are companies overseas that pay people to be professional trolls. That's just what they do, right? And they do that so that you can essentially continue to sow chaos in people's comment sections, right? That's just what happens. Now,
wow.
Outside of that, I do feel like people who troll or people who respond to, I guess you could say, people who respond to individuals who are speaking about their life experiences or they're speaking about the ways that things have transpired in their lives, those people are once again returning to that idea of a fight or flight. They're attempting to fight what it is that you're saying because a part of them resonated with it and they are not ready to accept the fact that they resonated with what it is that you said. So it's a negative resonance. It's almost like you ever been driving down the highway and you got one window down and one window up and it's that real annoying sonic sound?
Yeah.
So either you got to roll down the other window or roll up the one that's rolled down.
Yeah.
It's the same concept. It's a resonance that bothers them, right?
Wow.
It's something within themselves that's like, no, I cannot keep this energy within myself because I'm not ready to deal with this yet. But instead of internalizing and processing, they spew it back out. So the projection that you were talking about then comes into play in that situation, right? Here's the thing. Here's the crazy part about all that, right? Erykah Badu had an interview. She said something about sympathetic vibrations, right? I sincerely believe that people who troll are attracted to sympathetic vibrations. They consistently attract those vibrations to themselves because it's a lesson that they need to learn, but they're refusing to learn it. So it's almost like somebody who consistently repeats a grade until they drop out of school. It's not that they are incapable of learning what it is that's being taught in the class. They refuse to learn it because they're afraid that they're not going to understand it. Or they're afraid it's going to reveal a part about themselves that they are not ready to accept. You feel what I'm saying? Because a troll lives under the bridge and it lives under one of the larger shadows that can be cast by anything. Right? You are literally enveloped in your shadow self because you're afraid to step out into the sunlight.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So when you look at it from that perspective, or when we contextualize it through that perspective, and I was just thinking about that when I was on my way to the kitchen to fix my drink, man. I was like, damn, motherfuckers really be out here trolling because we be spreading positivity, bro. Like, why are you upset? Why are you mad? Who pissed in your cereal this morning, my boy? But at the same time, I also recognize that propensity to defend what it is that they feel is right in their lives. And that's completely, hey, that's your prerogative. And as somebody who also recognizes that what it is that I've experienced in my life is valid, I will continue to contest whatever it is that you are saying simply because I recognize that what it is that is going on is completely and totally factual, right? So going back to the whole idea of not only just trolls, but looking at things that are high value, right? This perception of high value, because I think as this is going to be the inaugural episode, I think that it's good to set the tone with this idea of value, right? Or what value means. I think a lot of us perceive value in a very Eurocentric way. And what I mean by that is a lot of us are attempting to inject Blackness into the American dream and it doesn't operate. You feel me? That's like trying to put O positive blood into somebody who's A negative. It's not going to work. The host is not able to sustain the bodies that are being placed into that host. You dig what I'm saying? So for example, this is one of the most irritating things that I hear about Black women, bro. Like it's so irritating. It's like, oh, all Black women got attitudes and all they so combative, da 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 da. I'm like, are y'all expecting them to be doormats?
Right.
Like, are y'all expecting them to just, they too masculine, they woo, 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 woo. I'm like, y'all realize that there were entire classes of warrior queens throughout Africa. There were entire classes of warrior queens throughout the enslavement. There were entire classes of warrior queens that fought and did not get voiced simply because, once again, the things that they have done or the things that they did do were placed into a Eurocentric context. A lot of white men or a lot of white people do not have the conceptualization that women can do things. They just got to that point within the last 200 years. They just got to that point. And you have to understand 200 years is roughly 10 generations.
Wow.
Roughly. Right? So it's not as if though like this is a old concept with European people. It's really not. It's not, right? It's relatively new to them. With us as Black people, this is something that has been going on for millennia. It's just that we were interjected by a class of people who were devoted to turning our culture upside down. So we now have a class of men who believe that women should be immediately subservient, and that does not even fit within an Afrocentric context. It doesn't. It doesn't. Because in my mind, it's like, yo, how are you going to be angry that this woman has a warrior spirit when both of y'all are supposed to be protecting the family?
Right.
Like, what, boy? Like, that's dumb. So the example that I use all the time is this.
Oh my gosh.
This is the example that I use all the time, right? Let's say that somebody break into your house and you all, practice the Second Amendment. You feel me? You armed to the T like the Black PP, you feel me? Right? So you got them yappers, you feel me?
Yeah.
You have a man who was centered in particular toxic masculinist traits, and you have a woman who is centered in Africanity and understanding her warrior edge.
Mm-hmm.
The woman is a awarded marksman. This woman can shoot a pop can from 100 yards away.
Mm-hmm.
The man has had no weapons training outside of thinking that because he's a man, he can shoot shit up.
Right. Okay.
Who do you think would logically lead that family out of that situation?
The woman.
There are a lot of men who will want that woman to stand behind them simply because they're a woman. That will get you and your family killed.
Exactly. For sure.
But the reason why they want to do that is to prove that they can protect their family, right? Which, once again, we start getting into this extremely narrow perception of what a word can mean. You want to protect your family so that you can go tell other people that you protected your family instead of making sure that your family stays alive.
Right.
You are doing it for clout.
Right.
You're doing it for clout. You're doing it for clout. Because you know that if you go out, you tell somebody, yeah, somebody broke in our house, and you know what I'm saying, baby took care of that, you're afraid that somebody's going to ridicule you.
Right.
You're afraid that somebody's going to be like, oh, you let your wife do da-da-da. Yes! Yes! She can shoot a toenail off an elephant from across the yard. Why would I not let her shoot this motherfucker up? Why?
Right.
Why? She has gotten a myriad of awards as it relates to riflemanship or whatever the hell that sport is called, right? She has done that. I have not.
Right.
I do not have that combat experience. For me, protecting my family at that moment in time means yielding to the expertise that my wife has.
Right.
You dig what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of men do not think that way because they believe that simply because they are men, they are supposed to do all the protecting.
Right.
And to be quite frank, I feel like that's where a lot of us as Black men are messing up at. You feel what I'm saying? We are looking for Black women to behave in a sense like women of other cultures. And y'all ain't built that. And y'all ain't built that way.
I know I'm not.
Y'all not built like that. Y'all not. You feel what I'm saying? So this whole concept of, oh, she gotta be, you know what I'm saying, submissive, woo, 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 this is second and third. Brother, like, do you know what true submission really means? Like, do you know the high value attribute of submission? Because for me, submission is a high value attribute irrespective of what gender you express yourself to be, right? Because the word submission, I looked this up, right? The word submission, the first definition is the definition that a lot of people use. The second definition of the word submission means to submit for review or approval.
Okay.
Right? When you're submitting something for review or approval, that means that everybody that is in this space is equivalent in some way, shape, or form. Everybody is a stakeholder.
Oh, okay. That's true.
You dig what I'm saying?
Like that, yeah.
You feel me? A lot of men do not submit to their women.
They don't.
They don't. And they should.
They should, for sure.
They should, right? Because submission requires a particular level of vulnerability that requires you to be empathetic about what the other person needs. And a lot of men don't express that way.
Right.
Especially a lot of black people, right? So thoughts. I'm curious to hear what it is that
Oh man. So much to take in. When you started talking about submission, I know from my experience, I've had a lot of quote unquote conscious men come at me, and I'll be on the dating app, so they write this whole spiel. That's my grandmother. They write this whole spiel. They're like, I'm looking for a
Grand
queen.
Rising Queen.
Grand
Hey,
Rising.
get the
I'm
fuck.
looking for a queen who know how to submit, this, that, and the third. And I'll be thinking, I'm like, what does submission look like for you? Because if I'm only submitting to you in the bedroom, I feel like we're not really getting at what real submission is. For me personally, I haven't looked up no definitions. I think submission is a mindset, but I also think it's not just for sexual relations. You know what I mean? Like submit or yield to a higher power or whatever. If you believe in a higher power, submit or yield to certain desires that maybe not healthy for. Like, I feel like it's just, you bring that into all realms. You know what I mean? And me, I like to deal with like chakra points and stuff. So I feel like if we only dealing with lower chakra area, or let's say like root chakra, sacral chakra, the sacral chakra deals with, sex, food, emotions. If we're only bringing submission energy into that chakra, we're only keeping submission at like its base point, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? I feel like as higher beings, because we believe we're kings, we're queens, we're goddesses, we're that, and, we move like that. Everything else is inferior. Why are we not raising ourselves up to the highest level of what this submission is? That makes sense?
It makes perfect sense, right? And I'm glad that you contextualize it in terms of chakra points, right? Because it's funny that the very next chakra after the sacral is the solar plexus, and the solar plexus deals with purpose, it deals with drive. It is the fire, it is the fire in the belly. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are afraid to submit to their purpose because they're afraid that they may not get to it. Right? They're afraid to submit to their purpose because they are afraid that they will not get to it.
Wow.
And what happens is that you are operating then from a sense of aimlessness and fear. So if you're operating from a sense of aimlessness and fear and lack, how can you expect a woman to follow behind you when her purpose is to multiply? It makes no sense.
Right.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Right? So when we begin talking about this whole idea of submission, I ask dudes all the time, like, yo, have you submitted yourself to the practice of discipline? Have you submitted yourself to the practice of not fucking everything with two legs and a vagina? Right? Because I was thinking about that earlier today. I was like, yo, dudes are not as sexually liberated as they think they are. They're sexually confined to what they feel other men will think is appropriate. Right? So you out here, you know what I'm saying? You out here extracting things from women, or you're consuming women, but you're really not submitting to the idea of fair sexual practice. You're being manipulative. You feel what I'm saying? You're being exploitative. You're not really looking for what it is that this woman is looking for. Right? So you don't even know how to submit. You're not a good follower. You don't know how to follow. How can you lead?
Right.
Makes absolutely no sense. And to be quite frank, I'm gonna keep it quite 50 with you. A lot of dudes are scared to let a woman lead them because they feel like that woman gonna lead them better than they can lead themselves, and that's okay. That's fine. That is okay, right? They missing out. Because I'm gonna keep it a buck 50 with you. I'm gonna keep it 100. For me, there is nothing more relieving than to know that if I were to ever fall, the woman who I am with knows how to pick up and keep moving.
Yes.
You dig what I'm saying?
Yes.
My mother told me, she was like, do not ever date a woman who, and this is my mother now, she said, don't ever date a woman where if you were to lose your job, she will not be able to make that space up until you get it back.
Right.
Right? Because that's not somebody who's beneficial, that's a liability.
Right.
I was like, damn. Well, you feel me? But a lot of women are not, they're not used to it being contextualized that way. What they're used to is niggas being homosexuals.
Hobosexuals? Okay. Like taking care of them. Like
exactly. It's a man who sleeps around with different women in order to have a place to stay, food to eat, and something to do. Basically, baby boy.
Okay.
Tyrese, baby boy, that boy was a homosexual.
Got you.
He had a different woman for every need that he needed met.
Got you.
You feel what I'm saying? So, with that being said, for me personally, when I look at this idea of submission, or when I look at the context of submission, I tend to look at it in the perspective of, what are we actually submitting to?
One second, please.
Take time.
Sorry.
You all good? That's why we got the editing tools. You feel me? I ain't say I ain't know how to use it.
Right,
I just said I would rather not use it. You feel me? But we got it. But all together, right? This idea, once again, going back to this idea of submission. What are you submitting to? Because, like you said, a higher power, or something that you believe in. And once again, a lot of men, especially a number of Black men, do not submit themselves to a higher power, whether that higher power be internal or external, right? A lot of us have an issue with Black women being in the forefront because we have internalized this idea that Black women are supposed to be either behind us or beneath us, but never in front.
Right.
Never in front. And in my mind, it's like, y'all don't see how that's a benefit. Y'all really don't see how that's a benefit. First and foremost, I would like to say this. I sincerely appreciate the fact that y'all as Black women are still rocking with us, bro, because sometimes we make that shit hard. I'm not gonna bullshit you. Sometimes we make that shit hard, right? We do. Yeah. I'm not gonna hold you, right? But at the same time, there are a number of Black men who are just like upset at the fact that Black women have some of the opportunities that Black men are supposed to have, meaning being able to, provide for the family, being able to do this and being able to do that. And in my mind, it's just like, it's not that we can't, and it's not as if though we don't face similar obstacles. What's going on? I sincerely feel like what's going on is because Black women have a better perception of self, or a better idea of how to care for self, or how to think emotionally. They are then able to proceed in such a way that gives them that drive, or gives them that ability to maneuver through particular social spaces. Now, this is not to say that Black men do not experience things in a social way that makes it difficult for us to move, because a lot of times Black women are not perceived at the same threat level as Black men, right? Black women are usually perceived as, loud, brash, but they're tolerable. Black men, unless we culturally emasculate ourselves. And what do I mean by culturally emasculate ourselves? We trade in our Blackness and our brashness for a more modified and more calm version of a white man, right? So we remove our stature as this spiritual essence to commodify ourselves into this being that in some ways has very little consciousness, right? We become robotic. That is the safest way that a lot of Black men are perceived in societal spaces, or going into this whole idea of the effeminization of Black men, which I don't necessarily believe is true. I just think that the powers that be in Hollywood and things of that nature can only conceptualize Black men in one or two ways, either extremely effeminate, which is not a threat, or extremely, extremely aggressive and threatening, which is utilized to, in a sense, support white plot points, right? But do I believe that there is an agenda to effeminate Black men overall? No. I just think that there is a large amount of media control that perpetrates that as an idea, right? Because once again, it's that idea of being threatened, right? It's the idea of feeling as if though this person is going to destabilize what's going on here. Black women do not present that much of a threat of destabilization because y'all are women. It has nothing to do with y'all being black. It has to do with y'all being women. White men, it doesn't matter what kind of woman you is. Most white men do not respect women. They just don't. They don't, right? So you can be a black, you can be brash, you can be sassy, you can be this, that, and third. As long as you are willing to do what I say, I have this feeling of I have tamed you. Right? It's a power thing. Now, here's the catch. This is what's cool for me. Black women is like, I really don't care how it is that you feel or what it is that you're talking about. I will sit here and play a role until I get what I need and I'm about. Black women are the most dope-ass reconnaissance mission ninjas in the world. And black men don't see that. I'm like, bro, y'all don't see this? Y'all don't see this? Y'all don't see it? Y'all don't see how they behind enemy lines and getting all the money, bro? Like, black women have the capacity to get things done. And in my mind, I'm just like, how, bro? Y'all are having businesses. Y'all are the most educated ethnic group in the world. Like, y'all are getting it done. Y'all are moving through the structures of white supremacy in ways that black men cannot. And black men don't see that as a benefit. They see it as a challenge.
Yeah.
Like, y'all out of pocket. Come on, son.
Wow.
Come on, son.
Wow.
Come on. We are more concerned about our egos in maleness than we are about unification and blackness. And it's sad because being concerned about our egos and maleness, once again, is inherently Eurocentric in the way that it is to use it. We can still be providers of the family by making sure that the kids are raised appropriately. We can still be providers of the family by making sure that the house is decent. You know what I'm saying? We can still be providers to the new generation by being able to learn ourselves in such a way where we make sure that we continue to break those generational chains. Because in a way, doing that mental work is hard. It is hard.
It is.
You feel what I'm saying? But once again, a lot of men in general, but a lot of black men do not do that work because we perceive it to be feminine work. We perceive it to be work of women.
Got it.
It's the 21st century, my G. We have to start reconstructing some of the things that we perceive to be of women and of men. And we need to start looking at how it is that we can contribute to our village as a whole.
Right.
You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because my mama told me, she was like, listen, I need you to learn how to cook, clean, do all these things by yourself because I never want you to feel as if though you need to depend on anybody in order to get these things done.
Right.
I can cook. I'm getting better at cleaning. I got ADHD, so sometimes it's kind of hard to get things done all the way through. You feel what I'm saying? But altogether, you know, I know how to do these basic life skills. And once again, my father knows how to cook. My cousin, dude, knows how to cook. Not grill, not do all that outdoorsy mountain shit. No, nigga, cook. Like in a kitchen. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We get down, you know. It's not something that is gender based in my family. You feel me? You cook because you are hungry.
Right.
Like you cook because you are hungry.
It's simple.
Like what? Oh, go make me a sandwich. What's wrong with your feet? What's wrong with your legs? What's wrong with your arms? Go make your own damn sandwich, nigga.
You know what? Speaking of the gender roles, I've always felt I could never be like right on this mark of like whatever these universal gender roles are for women, like knowing how to cook. Like I'm learning to cook now. I didn't grow up, no one taught me how to cook. You know what I mean? That's just my personal way. I'm learning to cook. I'm a good cleaner. I'm a Virgo, you know what I mean? So I'm a good cleaner, but like everything else on the list, like submission, back to the submission thing, I feel like a lot of dudes, like they like to like police women. Like sometimes I'm not always like this, like how I am now. Sometimes I'm not always soft-spoken. Like sometimes I'm really aggressive, hood. You feel like, but like I'm like that. You know, I'm from Newark. I was raised in Irvington, New Jersey. So it's like I get like that. When I need to get that energy flowing, I'm putting it down. But I've always felt like that was a part of me that for some reason I knew it was looked down upon. but also I feel like maybe I have to quiet it a little more. Like,
Please don't
maybe.
do that. Please don't do that. Please don't. Here's why. Once again, going back into that whole idea of a warrior spirit.
Right.
We have been.
Right.
The movie Mulan. I love that
movie. I love that movie too.
I love Mulan, right? Even we're gonna keep it black, right? Black Panther.
Okay.
T'Challa would have been nothing without Shuri.
Shuri was a sister, right?
Yes. T'Challa would have been nothing without Shuri. Nothing. Why? Because she is the person who designed.
I'm sorry. Okay, that was my grandmother.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. Tell Granny I said hi. But no, T'Challa would have been nothing without Shuri, right? And the way that Shuri was depicted, she was not depicted as a supporting character, right? That's the thing that I really enjoyed about Black Panther. It felt as if though everybody was on the same playing field and there was cohesion, right? It just so happened that T'Challa was the figure point that turned things. He was not the end all be all. He was just a turner, right? The door, like a whole army of super assassin women, bro, who had no hair, which
right.
I think a lot of people missed. It was the removal of Eurocentric beauty norms, right? All of them were bald. All of them. Not only that, it's tactical. Like, yo, you can't grab my hair if I ain't got none.
Right.
You feel me? This man was supported by a village of women. You dig what I'm saying? And like the border tribe, he was like, would you really kill me? Would you really kill me for in an instant? I'm taking you out.
Yes.
It's done.
I remember that
how much I love you. I'm still an independent person of my own accord. And because you backing down the line, it's up there.
Facts.
It's up there, right? There are particular ways in which women are told that they need to be quiet. No, I don't believe that at all. I do not believe that women, especially black, first of all, y'all not quiet.
At all.
I look like asking you to be quiet. No, as long as you're not being disrespectful towards me, I'm cool. But at the same time, once again, the idea of disrespect because you are being vocal is out of pocket. Like, no.
Oh my God.
Now, hold on. I will say there's a difference between being vocal and attempting to hurt somebody with what it is that you are saying. And, a lot of black women walk that line, right? Because you all have been through particular traumas where you felt unheard. So now it's like, all right, now I'm going to cut you in real life and with my shit. So it's all good, right? Which once again goes into that trauma. We're going to have different episodes for that. But at the end of the day, if you are looking at it from an Afrocentric perspective, the spirit of Africanity provides you with that thrust, irrespective of your gender. It does not matter. You are powered by that. You are powered by that blackness. So no, you don't have to quiet it, and you shouldn't quiet it, because that literally means that you are submitting to this idea that as a woman, I need to not speak.
Right.
And for a lot of people, that's equivalent to not existing. The creator gave you vocal cords for a reason.
That's a fact.
You need to use them. You dig what I'm saying? And a lot of men cannot tolerate women who are vocal, because women will call niggas out on their bullshit with a quickness. And once again, it comes down to that idea of, are you going to submit yourself to becoming a better man? Or are you going to run to another woman who's going to tolerate the bullshit that you are going to put up with?
Right. Right. I've been in. Right.
You feel what I'm saying? But, Ms. Makita, we are coming to the close of the episode. So is there anything that you would like to say to close?
I guess what I would like to say is to anybody watching this, I hope me being like us being raw and unfiltered. Like I hope it sparks an internal conversation that you have with yourself and with, you know, presence or with other people. But also for Black men, I just want to say that we've been trying to reach y'all. You know, we've been trying to reach y'all. I don't, man, actually, it's so much. We've been trying to reach y'all, and we're gonna still try to reach you. Like, you understand, like, regardless. So I just want y'all to keep that in the back of your mind. Like, it doesn't matter. One day I could be enemy number one to you. The next day, when you work through all your shit, I'm like angel to you. Yeah, number one fan. So that's really what I have to say.
Blasting. So, hey, this is the first episode of Odie's Office. I really hope y'all enjoyed the vibes, and we're gonna be back, you know what I'm saying, for the next one. Until then, good people, great people, guys, people. I love y'all. Peace, soul, and butter rolls.